You know that feeling when we're messaging someone, it's going well, the vibe is there, we finally meet, and for a moment we think, she gets me. But then nothing. She disappears. Or sometimes we're the ones who pull away because I think it's because it's easier that than being disappointed again. We tell ourselves it's the apps or it's the local dating culture or there just aren't any good ones left. But if we're honest, this isn't the first time it's happened, right? Sometimes we're the one who reaches out, other times we're the one that shuts it down before it even starts. We want something real, but it feels like we're caught in this loop somewhere between distraction and depth. There are many options, but no real connection. And we keep saying to ourselves, I just haven't met the right person. Or my lifestyle, it just doesn't make any of this easy. And deep down, we know that's not the whole story. If this is you, you're not alone. Because the thing is, when something real does show up, many of us find a way to push it away. We hold back and disappear. We hit the eject button right when it starts to matter. And we can feel it. It's not just about the loneliness, it's about what's not happening in our lives because of it, and the relationship we actually want, the shared future we imagine. It starts to feel further and further away. This isn't just about meeting the right one, it's the story we tell ourselves to avoid looking a little deeper. But underneath, there are patterns shaping how we show up in intimacy. And if those patterns don't shift, doesn't matter who comes along, we end up back in the same loops. Chemistry without depth, depth without spark. Short bursts of hope that fade fast. And over time, our hope starts to shrink. We lower our expectations without even realizing it. And we start saying things like, maybe this is not that important right now. Or we build a life that works without a relationship, but deep down it doesn't feel actually full. This is why I created the Relational Reconnection System. It focuses on the invisible patterns that shape our romantic lives. Even when the desire for real connection is there and real. There are four big ones. The first is a lack of connection and intimacy, missing empathy, compassion, relationships are lacking depth, inner loneliness that's buried in productivity and busyness. The second is emotional numbness. Emotions are suppressed by overthinking or analyzing everything and really expressing what's uncomfortable. White boys feels not too bad or good at the very best. The third is self-doubt or lacking of confidence, not where you're winning in life already, but more specifically in romance and intimacy. Maybe you're keeping the peace over avoiding conflict before your personal truth, avoiding leading in love and intimacy, usually following or really initiating. And then the fourth, likely starting to experience stagnation, feeling guilty or losing hope and wanting more from a relationship, future visions of romance, maybe a wife, family, start becoming like pipe dreams, and you're missing that real excitement, or just feeling empty. And it's okay because once we can see these patterns, we can change them. And this is where reconnect comes in. It's not dating advice. It's not better lines to say. And it's definitely not about pretending to become someone that you're not. It's about becoming the kind of man who can attract and hold, grow the relationship that you actually want. And not by fixing something that's broken. It's more about reconnecting to yourself so you can actually attract, see, and hold the relationship when it actually shows up. So let's jump in. I want to show you the relational connection system. It's the backbone of everything we do inside Reconnect. It's made up of three pillars. So first is vision, then values, and then velocity. So I want to bring up this diagram for you to follow along so you can see how these three pillars interact, because once you understand these, you can actually diagnose yourself and see clearly where you're getting stuck. So the first is vision. Most guys, when I ask them what they want in a relationship, they say things like, I want someone to vibe with, there's someone loyal, someone who gets me. It's all good, but, well, it's vague. Vision isn't about creating some kind of fantasy. It's about getting clear on the kind of relationship that you actually want to build, the kind of connection that actually matters to you. How do you want to feel in the day? How do you want to share? What kind of presence do you want to bring into that space? Because if that's unclear, we end up moving through dating like kind of being on autopilot. We're chasing chemistry and reacting to whoever shows up, but then kind of left with wondering why it never sticks. So the second pillar here is values. So values is one of the areas that most people skip. If vision is what it is that you want, values is who you need to become to actually live there. Because if you are the person, already the person that could live out that vision, your beliefs, your boundaries, your habits are all have aligned with the kind of relationship that you want, it'd probably be already within it. So if your vision is up here, if you were that person, you'd be living it. That means you're somewhere down here, which is awesome because it gives us a roadmap. It gives us the direction, the clarity in who it is that you need to become. It's not about beating yourself up. This is about being excited because now you can see the gap clearly and where to move. So values is where we ask, what qualities do I want to bring into a relationship? What standards do I hold myself to and others? What are my non-negotiables? How can I communicate them? How do I want to lead in connection? And so without this kind of clarity, it's easy to slip into the old patterns and the people pleasing or the holding back your personal truth or accepting dynamics that don't actually feel right to you. You start accepting things that never were in alignment to the vision that you're supposedly creating. So values is all about who you are and what you want and make them congruent, have them in alignment. In the third pillar over here is velocity. This is where awareness is turned into action. Because you can have the clearest vision in the world and you could know your values inside and out. But if you don't build momentum, well, nothing actually changes, right? So velocity is about putting intentional structure and practice behind all of this. It's creating real steps that build emotional presence, courage, and consistency until showing up actually stops being work and starts being who it is that you are, who it is that you become. This is where you close the gap between knowing and living out who it is that you are and creating your vision. Now, here's where it gets interesting because these pillars don't live in isolation, right? You can see that they're overlapping. I love Venn diagrams for this exact scenario. So, depending on which ones are developed or which ones missing, different symptoms show up in your romantic life. So let's break these down. So if you've got vision and values, but without velocity, this is where you've done maybe some reflection. You've got a clear picture on what it is that you want and who you want to be within it, let's say. But you're not actually doing much differently. This usually looks like, strong inner clarity, but it stays just like a future hope, a pipe dream, as you say. Maybe you're doing a lot of journaling. Maybe your version of this is overthinking a lot. You're reflecting, but there's still not a lot of action. Hesitation when new opportunities arise could be one of these things. You're stuck in reflection instead of momentum to drive things forward. It's like standing on the seashore, looking out to the ocean and knowing exactly where you want to swim, but you never actually get in the water. This is the velocity gap. So the next one is if you got values and velocity. Here, you know your standards. You're active, you're dating, you're putting yourself out there, you're creating momentum, but you don't have a clear vision. And what often shows up with these two is you're connecting with people quickly, but often with the wrong people. Situationships that don't actually match what it is that you want. There's a lot of effort without really much meaning behind it. You're moving, but without direction. You end up chasing chemistry or reacting to whoever shows up instead of intentionally aligning with what it is that you actually desire. And then the final two, of course, velocity and vision, which this creates the scenario where you know what it is that you want, you're taking action, but you haven't fully embodied your values. This is where things look good at first, but they feel a bit shaky underneath. And you might compromise your standards without realizing it. You stay quiet about what it is that you really need, specifically in a relationship and need from yourself. You pretzel yourself into being liked, maybe into accepted, into belonging, into love. You find yourself in a dynamic that starts out strong, but it unravels over time. And so without values, your actions don't fully reflect who it is that you are. And this is the most dangerous one of the three because that's a form of self-neglect. And it's much worse than just disconnection. It erodes self-esteem over time. You're literally going backwards. Maybe you've seen this in other people's relationships or even in your. This is where people say they feel like they're losing themselves to a relationship. So when all three align, when visions, values, and velocities are dialed in, things feel different. You're clear on what you want, you're grounded in who it is that you are, and you take intentional action that reflects both. Connection stops feeling like a guessing game. You stop chasing, you stop sabotaging, you start leading with clarity and love. I'm not about trying to force you to do anything, or I'm not requiring you to become someone that you're not. I'm all for you becoming even more of you. This is about reconnecting to who it is that you truly are, so that when the right person shows up, you don't run, we don't sabotage it. You meet it with presence, clarity, your heartfelt emotion, presence. This is about building a real foundation, not swiping endlessly, not waiting for luck. So if you're done repeating the same loops and you're ready to understand why things haven't or have been playing out the way that they have, well, this is where the work starts. It's inside Reconnect. We walk through this system together. We get clarity, direction, and practical tools to finally shift these patterns for good. So if this speaks to you, book a clarity call. I'd love to map it out with where it is that you are, where you want to be, and what's been getting in the way of all this. And whether we work together or not, either way, you'll leave this call, I promise, with insights that will change how you approach connection from this point on and forever into your future. So I look forward to seeing you in there.